Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build, and today we're going to be building in San Sequoia on this awkward little middle lot here. And I was inspired by this inspiration image right here on the screen. I've seen a few versions of it, like a few different angles, so I'm pretty sure it's a real home somewhere. And to me it looks like it used to be an old firehouse with that like lift up garage door, so I was feeling a little inspired by it, as you can tell, but the outside shape is pretty simple. I just made it a little too big at first, as I usually do with these like barn style homes, and these I just tend to make them a little too fat and then they don't end up looking right. So it took me a few tries, but I think I got it, and I made the bottom floor a little taller so that it could accommodate a large fake garage door. But otherwise it is pretty much true to the image. There was a lot of good windows from werewolves that worked really nicely for the outside facade of this, and then obviously the stairs and the columns from werewolves worked really well. I also found a lot of things from the kitchen clutter kit that I had to use, and also from Home Chef Hustle, because my idea is this building is a pizza shop which has been converted from its original firehouse, and upstairs they built out a much bigger apartment setup for the single dad who is the owner of this pizza shop and his teen daughter, and she works here as well when she's not at school, so she's like an employee unofficially. I didn't actually make her an employee when I did all of the outlying things of the business, where like the activities that the customers are going to do and what happens at this business. I didn't make her an actual employee because I figured I could just control her manually, and I didn't mind doing it, especially for playtesting purposes. I like to have more control anyway so that I'm sure everything works perfectly. But here you'll see I am going to be making this fake garage door. I love these Moschino windows for that because they are very large and square and have like the little openings. Looks like you can like flip them open. I thought that looked nice. And then on either side I put one of the pillars, and you'll see that the wallpaper that I had picked out, which is kind of just a paneling, has disappeared for now. It will come back in a little bit when I realize that I entered all of the brick on there and totally got rid of my black paneling. And then the door for upstairs is from werewolves. The door for the downstairs, which is the actual entrance, which does work, I know it looks like it's blocked by the stairs, but it does work. That one is from University, and I thought it would look really nice here with all of these like yellow flowers on the window boxes. So all of the windows on the exterior pretty much get those yellow flowers for window boxes. I thought that would be a nice little pop of color. And now you'll see I have built the downstairs platform, which is basically an outdoor eating area. There's also a little bar area, plenty of room for just hanging out, enjoying pizza, enjoying some bar drinks. I thought that would be nice. So I gave the dad some mixology skills so that he could kind of sort of tend bar and also make pizza and serve pizza and talk to customers, kind of like a little socializing thing. He's a very social character, in my opinion, from what I've seen in playtesting. He's very social, so I made sure to kind of expand on that a little bit. He definitely has a bit of a Don Lothario vibe, but I tried not to make him look like Don Lothario. He was originally just a randomized sim, and I just thought that I liked the way he looked, so I changed a few things, and he came together quite easily, which is kind of how a lot of my families do come together. I just kind of randomize till I find something that looks about right and make some tweaks, and then we're good. But anyway, back to the build. So you'll see I have a 2-deck system up here in the front. There's obviously the small one that leads from the downstairs to the upstairs, and then there's also a large deck in front of like the kind of sliding patio door, which I'm going to put in very shortly. But eventually I end up connecting those two. There's also the awning from Desert Luxe I put across the 2 roof sections just to give a little bit more coverage right there. Obviously in game it doesn't actually give coverage. It doesn't show as a covered or sheltered area. Obviously rain and snow will just come right through. But I still thought it looked really nice, kind of gave that illusion. And I also added a lot of flower boxes all throughout this lot. So this flower box here with the lavender, I repeat that in many different spots. I picked lavender as the outdoor flower decorating the entire lot just because I thought it, again, a little pop of color here and there does not hurt, and I just wanted to give a little bit more of that. Here upstairs you'll see that sliding window from Moschino stuff, as well as another Moschino stuff window, like a smaller size with some open slats. I thought that that looked nice. Now in the interior I kind of make a little stepped up entryway space with a open window over into like where the garage used to be, where the fire truck used to be parked, that's where I assume it was parked. And then over there ends up being like a nice little booth seating area, which I don't normally do because they don't really work all that well, but it looks so pretty, and it does kind of lend itself to like the pizza house vibe thing. Like it just fits a very old-fashioned style pizza shop in my opinion, so I kept that in there. And then over here in the kitchen section, I have some countertops for cooking pizzas. I also have these little refrigerated like cooler things that the customers can pull slices of pizza from. And then I make a little second entry into the spot behind those coolers, so there's like a little tiny kitchenette between the serving area and then the outside area where the customers are. And in here there's a fridge, another countertop, a dishwasher, and then I believe later on I end up putting the stand mixer so they can prep their own dough and their own meat toppings and their own vegetable toppings all in that one spot, and then they can go over to where the pizza ovens are and make the pizzas. And then here's also another little archway from Werewolves because it just matches the rest of the windows. Looks so nice. That leads out to the back platform area, and upstairs we're adding some lighting. You'll see that I'm putting together like where things are going to go. So there's a bathroom where that toilet is, and then the main bedroom has the double bed, and then there also ends up being a single bed over there. That's going to be the teenager's room. Here I am expanding the deck finally and just kind of combining the two. Just kind of looks silly to have them so close together but not connected, so I kept that the way it is as you can see it now. And then I have some more columns going in from Werewolves and also a little bit of a railing downstairs. I also really love this spandrel that came with Businesses and Hobbies. It's kind of industrial but also a little bit more soft. I think it's not as industrial as the spandrel from Werewolves, so I thought that it would look really nice here. Also adding just a one little layer of steps on all those openings because I know that they can step down just that one level, but I thought having a little step there just looked nicer, so I threw that in there as well. And then there's another big kind of arched window that matches the Moschino stuff windows. I put that in the daughter's room, and then the smaller Moschino window goes in the living room space. Dad's room has the big windows again from Werewolves because I just love them, and I love how they have the brick on the outside that sort of kind of matches the brick I have here right now. It's only slightly more faded, which I think makes sense. And so I used these windows a lot, and I tried to keep them all cohesive, and I also did use a few from the happy birthday event. The little window in the kitchenette area is from that because I thought that it would be nice to have a little bit of light in that room. There's also an awning over here on the upper deck where the apartment is, and I believe those came with Businesses and Hobbies. I also wanted to add a little half wall up here on the upper deck section, and this is where the sign for the shop goes. So there's a lot of neon signs with different like fire emblems on them. I kind of tried to scatter them about, and then we have the dine out sign that is all lit up in red. I thought that looked good, so I put that up there. I also pulled out some of these gallery items. I'll put that user's name up here, but I couldn't find this in the catalog when I was looking for it. I just knew it existed, so I went searching and I did find it. Luckily someone put that up for us, so made my life a little easier. And then I also pulled out some pizza menus. I know it's not in Simlish, but I still think it looks really cool. So this build will show up as having CC because I pulled these off the gallery, but they are not CC and they will show up just fine. Also pulled out some stacked pizza boxes and I placed them over here on the counter where the pizza ovens are. Maybe those are like the takeout boxes. I just wanted them to be here because I thought they looked so nice, and it's very realistic to have right next to where the pizzas are prepared if someone's ordering to go, you know. And then I also pulled out a bunch of these pictures of different pizzas and hung them up on the wall. Like maybe like they have their menu and then there's like a number associated with it, and that's the number painting or picture that you see up on the wall. And more of these lovely paintings. Of course, I will pop up all of the users' names on the screen, and they will also be in the description box so that you can find them if you are looking. But I thought these were just so cool, and I really like them. I think they just fit the pizza shop vibe so nicely. And then later when I have my family come here for playtesting, I do end up adding some black frames to all of those so that they don't look quite so, I don't know, unfinished, I guess. So don't worry, they do end up having frames. But we're upstairs in the kitchen now, and I did mess around with the configuration a little bit, so I'm only showing you a little bit. It took me a very long time. But I picked out these new green counters from the base game update we got, I guess, a little while ago now. And then also the island counter right here. So there's some island seating up here, and then there also ends up being a small dining table that kind of goes on the opposite wall. I just wanted it to feel kind of cramped up here. I wanted it to be very like cozy and close-knit. I wanted that kind of family feel. I also love that new fridge that came with the kitchen clutter stuff because it has all the magnets on it. Maybe these Sims like to travel and like to go on camping trips, like to go all over the world when they can, maybe to Tartosa to experience the Italian vibe, if you know what I mean. But I really wanted this to be a colorful, kind of fun, eclectic kitchen, so I picked this wallpaper from Jungle Adventure, and then this tile is just base game, but I really like it. The terracotta tile is so pretty in here. It kind of makes the orange on the bar stools pop a little bit. So I use that, and then I also have an archway that leads into the area that will become the office later on, but I'll show you that very shortly. First, I want to pick out our dining table. This one from Growing Together I thought looked really nice in here because the green kind of offsets all the rest of the green, and then there's also a dining table with some darker brown chairs to match the woodwork on the doors and the archway. So tried to tie all the colors together in this room. Also a very industrial overhead light just above the island, but I did size it down a little. It just seems a smidge too big. And then some art is going on the wall too. This lovely painting that came with the kitchen clutter kit. I keep tripping over my words. The kitchen clutter kit, and then there's also another painting from Love Struck over there with avocado and all the fruits and stuff. I wanted to throw that in there, and there's also a little succulent on the table. There's a little coat rack and some bags hanging by the door. Maybe those are shopping bags. We also have a double trash can system because I thought that would be just a good idea. A recycling can and a trash can. And then a doormat. There's a little light over on the counter. And then I also pulled out the Parenthood board. Since there is a teen here, maybe she has a curfew, and that's like their way to keep track of like school schedules, work schedules, any after school activities, grades, etc., tests coming up. I thought it would be a nice touch. Now we're going to be moving into the office. For right now, we have the desk from the Comfy Gamer Kit, but I do get rid of it, and instead I go with this one from Snowy Escape. I just like the color of it a little bit better, and I think it matches these bookshelves from Book Nook really nicely. I wanted this to kind of be like a tiny little office. Maybe this is where the daughter does her homework, but also where dad conducts his business. He does his advertising and responds to reviews on this computer too, maybe looks up recipes. I think I also put the recipe tablet that came with the kitchen clutter kit. I think I put that on the desk as well. Maybe he looks up recipes and then imports them to his tablet so that he has them if he wants to try out a new pizza recipe or a new focaccia recipe. I thought that would be nice. And then just a simple desk setup with the most expensive computer, I'm pretty sure, and also a simple desk lamp. And you will also notice I don't have a doorway to the living room. I am blocking it with the desk and with this pegboard. I don't realize that until the end, and I felt awfully foolish. However, I am able to fix it, and it still works. The office still works. But for right now, you can see me just completely unaware, even though I'm staring right at it, that I am just decorating this pegboard with this little organizer thing, and I think this is also for the teen daughter. So we're just going to use Toolmod to completely ignore the elephant in the room, which is there's no door to that room, and put some shelves on here, and also add a little, I think I had a set of headphones from the Everyday Clutter Kit, and then also the plant from the Comfy Gamer Kit with the little feet on the bottom of the vase, because I thought that looked nice. There's that tablet going in, obviously, because I think that would be smart to have next to the computer when you're owning a restaurant and you're looking up recipes all the time. And then, of course, the ceiling light from Base Game. I just thought it was very industrial and kind of cool looking, and I wanted it to kind of keep with the vibe. One more painting from Dream Home Decorator in here, and then I will come back to that later when I realize my unfortunate mistake of blocking off that room. But we have a little bit of the bathroom right here, just the same counters from the kitchen, because I thought that made sense that you'd use the same countertops, you'd buy a bunch of them in bulk and put them in the bathroom. And then the shower from Growing Together, which is my favorite, and this mirror from Love Struck, which is another one of my favorites. I think it just goes in almost every kind of bathroom, so I use it all the time, exchanging the toilet for this nicer one. And then we pull out our bathroom clutter stuff. and just throw it everywhere. The plunger, the toilet paper roll, soap dish, yada yada. I changed the swatch on the counters to yellow so that I could use this beautiful yellow tiled wallpaper from Home Chef Hustle because it's so pretty. And I hadn't used the Home Chef Hustle tile in a while. I was, I'm very proud of myself because that's usually my go-to, but I've been very good about not using it. So I figured in the bathroom I could get away with it. There's also a lovely organizer for the teen daughter's hair stuff and makeup. I think that, that makes a little bit of sense. And also this curtain from Cats and Dogs, which I don't get to use very often either. I was trying to do as many different things as I could, things that were outside of the norm for me to kind of mix it up a little bit, like this towel combination. I usually use the Growing Together towel, but I use this base game towel on the wall and also the hand towel that matches. I also sized down this high school years rug and put it in front of the tub and sink as like the bath mat. And then I put a little tiny trash can in the bathroom here as well, just in that little corner, because I thought that obviously makes sense. There's a teen daughter here. She's going to need, a trash can for her sanitary supplies. And then we have a little painting of a daffodil and my standard bathroom light. Now we're going to be back downstairs, and we are covering most of the walls with this brick, but I also really enjoy this kind of teal blue color and how it offsets the red of the brick. And that is from Love Struck, I believe. And then we're also going to add some upper head cabinets. These are base game. I really like those. I think they're the escargot counters, if I'm not mistaken, or they could be the tall order. I'm not sure, but I really like them, and they come in a lot of good swatches. So I thought that they fit in here nicely. They're kind of older looking. They're not super modern, but I thought that they looked really nice in here. It just looks like a pizza shop to me. Also added some of this like sauce and cheese and the little grater and the basil on the counter because that just makes a lot of sense. There's a dish rack right here mounted to the window. I just had to size it up a little bit with tool mod, and then I rose it up just enough so that it actually looks like it's mounted here next to the sink, and there's some spices hanging on the wall. Around this time, I decided to add some of these shelves from the Cozy Bistro kit, and I put the little scale up on there, as well as some of the containers of like dry goods. So I put them up on the shelf as well, and I pulled out the oven mitts, put them next to where the pizza ovens are, and there also ends up being another pizza oven outside near the bar. I'm assuming that like if he's tending bar and he has a minute, then he'll be able to make another pizza. And then this little selection of like eggs and flour and spoons and stuff, I tried to pick one that looked like pizza dough. Like that is a little bit of pizza dough prep that he had to walk away from. I know it's supposed to be cookies, but I think that could pass for pizza dough for sure. And then over here in the bathroom, it's going to come together really quickly, but I did clutter up a little shelf with some toilet paper and some cleaning supplies, and I used all the tile from Love Struck on the walls and on the floors. I just thought it looked really cool and modern in here, very clean and white, which is what we want. This plant here that I'm placing that I love so much ends up having to go away because it was in the way of customers getting to the toilet in my playtesting. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. I believe I substitute a smaller plant, and there's also paper towels on the wall in there. And you will have seen the little tiny kitchenette just kind of get a little recolor going in there. I thought it was nice. Over here by the front door, we have a fire extinguisher, of course, and a little, beware of fire, run this way sign, because, again, that makes sense. There's also a little fireplace over here where the booth is, and some hanging plants on the wall everywhere. I tried to make it really like cozy and fun and look like it was a family-owned small pizza restaurant, not like a big chain like Domino's or something. And I also have these little herbs in this container that I believe also came with the kitchen clutter kit, and I used tool mod to raise them up into that little like windowsill type thing. I thought that was nice. Also added this little candle from Love Struck to the table here in the middle, and the tables from the Cozy Bistro kit. I end up using those same tables outside. There's also a little menu and a couple little wine glasses here, and I believe those came with Cozy Bistro as well. So I put those on the table using alt placement and just tried to make them work, but I thought that was nice. That's like the little date table, and then there's some more paintings going up from Cozy Bistro as well, but the entryway is not quite done. I do end up adding one more couch and also like a half wall or such, but you'll see that in a little bit. We also have the overhead lighting from Cozy Bistro and these little partitions that I tried to squeeze as far into the wall as I could to separate the little booth area from the rest of the restaurant. Like it's kind of like a private dining experience, and a lot more of these signs that came with Cozy Bistro as well. I put those on the wall right at the entrance, and I also end up putting a ticket kiosk in here, and it goes on the opposite side of where the fire extinguisher is. So I just had it set as a one-time payment, and then I assumed people would pay for the pizza while they were here. So that seemed to work pretty okay, but if you wanted to do hourly, obviously you could totally do that too. That's just how I went about it. But if you download this, you can obviously change whatever you want and do whatever you want with it. You can completely change the restaurant if you want to or make it into something else for all I care. I think that the versatility, the possibilities are endless. And then out here you'll see I'm putting together a little bar area, and I'm using these countertops that I think came with Perfect Patio because they have a matching bar. I thought it would be nice to put these in here. And then also the bar stools from Cozy Bistro, I believe I end up putting out here as well because I like the look of them. And you'll see me struggle with these countertops for a while. I'm not 100% sure why, because I just end up getting rid of the last two of them anyway to put the bar here. But I was really trying to make it all match up nicely, and I was having a tough time. There's those chairs and that second pizza oven or third pizza oven out here where the bar is, and then I add more fencing around this little section here just so that I could portion it off to be an employee only area without having to add a door. I thought that that would be, important. I didn't want customers going back there and making their own drinks or making their own pizzas. I just wanted the employees to be doing that, and then the customers can stay on their side of the bar. But here's some more tables out here in the outdoor dining space and more chairs from Cozy Bistro. And then I end up adding some lighting at some point, and I believe it is still that same Cozy Bistro lighting, but I put them on the wall. There's a little wine rack as well over the bar because obviously it's a bar and it needed that. And we have some more of these lights going on the table from Cozy Bistro as well. And I think I also, off camera, I ended up adding some ceiling fans that came, I think the ones that came with Desert Luxe, because I feel like outside in the outdoor eating area, you'd probably want some ceiling fans to like circulate the air while you're eating your pizza and hanging out and having bar drinks. I think that would be a nice touch to have some fans going. And you won't see it for a while, but I'll tell you now. On the rest of the lot, there ends up being a little bit of a park space. So there ends up being a fountain and a bunch of chess tables and some picnic tables. The Sims can go eat over there and play chess, hang out near the fountain, just sit, enjoy, chat, do whatever they want, really. But I figure if you wanted to come here and say your Sims had children and the children were bored, there's plenty of room to like add a swing set or add monkey bars or add something to entertain them while you're here. So I tried to give you that option to customize if you would like to. Here you'll see this lovely little neon sign that was made by a player, and I will put the name up on the screen right now. I do end up having to get rid of that though, and the only reason is I think it's because there's so many of those itty bitty lights on there. It was causing major lag in my game after I placed it, and once I got rid of it, I did not have that lag anymore. So unfortunately, I think that one neon sign of all those millions of little tiny lights just totally put it over the edge for me, and I was very sad, but I think it is very cool. So I will link it in the description box and also in the video so that you can use it if you would like. They also have a few other lovely items on their gallery page, so check them out. Now we are in the teenagers room though, and we're going with a very pink and gold and kind of luxurious vibe. I think very different from the rest of the apartment, which, makes sense. The teen would want to rebel and not go the grungy kind of route. She would want her room to be very pretty and very pink and very girly. But we have the bed from high school years. The end table and dresser are also from high school years. The light is from Modern Luxe, and I think the rug is also from Modern Luxe. So I tried to use a mixture of all of those, and then also this lovely mirror that I think came with Life and Death in this gold tone, and another light from Love Struck on her dresser. And then I believe I also add a little cat succulent and an assortment of makeup on her dresser, as well as this gold chandelier that came with the Storybook Nursery kit. I just thought that was so fun, so I put that here instead of that little table light I had on the dresser. And then I also add a little bit of mess on the floor because yes, her room is very pretty and she's very girly, but I still think she is a little messy and a little disorganized sometimes. So I just left that little bit of mess on the floor. And then we have some lovely wall decorations like the hanging tapestry from high school years and these lovely framed photos from the Bella Goth kit, as well as this music box that I decided to all place on the dresser that came with the Bella Goth kit, and we have a little overturned book, which I think she was reading right before bed, and she just never put it away. And then out here she has her own little private balcony, so I added another curtain to this door just for a little extra privacy, and she has a lovely wind chime out here so she can sit out here and relax and listen to the birds and the wind chime, and she can sit on her couch, which is from the high school years expansion pack as well. And then there's also the little freezer bunny guitar, because why not? Maybe she plays guitar. She's a rebel. She doesn't want to cook, she wants to play guitar. And some more of these outdoor lights, I kind of put them all over the exterior. There's also a card table out here on the front porch, but there's really not much else on the front. I figure save that for yourself. If you want to download this, you can put whatever you want up there. Here I am trying to save the office and add a door, so I just kind of moved everything over to this wall, and then I used this organizer on the other side. I also changed the swatch to be more of a pink swatch, because I thought that made sense, and I put it back to full size. But now we're in the living room, which almost didn't exist because I forgot the door. We have a lot of stuff from the Don Lothario kit, the Casanova Cave kit, the couch and the record player, also this TV that came with the Bella Goth kit, and then the console table is from the fitness stuff, I think it is, and the wallpaper is a very pink tone, and it doesn't match the rest of the room, but I think it kind of gives a little bit more brightness, because otherwise with that paneling from Businesses and Hobbies, it's a very dark room. We also have some wall sconces to kind of keep that moodiness alive in this room, and I also use the curtains from Desert Luxe over top these windows in like a tan and black tone. I don't normally use this tone very much because I don't like the black hanger piece up at the top, but in here I actually liked it because this room is very dark and moody. This is like Dad's little cave, and he has some magazines on the table, and I also decided to put a game console here eventually, but there's some books underneath the console table. There's some like drinks and some decanters on this console table. Here's the here's the game system. This one came with one of those events recently, and we're going to be getting another one soon, so yay, more stuff that I have to show up for. But we have some more paintings going in from Casanova Cave, just some cars. I thought that was fun. It definitely looks like a dad's little personal living room and cave. I think the daughter mostly spends most of her time in her room anyway, or out on her, back deck. But here's Dad's room, and it is a very moody, again, very blue and brown and kind of subdued a little bit. So use that new bed that came with Businesses and Hobbies, and then the end tables I think are from Base Game, and then we have a dresser from Kids Room Stuff, I believe, and a Base Game standing floor mirror. This flooring again that I used in the living room, which I think is from Businesses and Hobbies, and then this beautiful scalloped rug that came with Love Struck. He also has some paintings on the walls of like cars and beverages up here from Casanova Cave, and the one above the bed is from Strangerville. Over here in the corner, I wanted to add a standing light. Couldn't figure out which one to use for the longest time, so first I pulled out this one from Growing Together, but I ended up changing it, I believe, to the one from Book Nook instead. He also has some plants in here. I think he enjoys plants. He has a little garden out back too, which you won't see yet. You won't see that until like the very end, which should be coming up pretty soon. But this room is very blue and moody. He has the Modern Luxe curtains in this blue tone, and then over here is the light that I changed. This one is the Book Nook light, and I put this over in the corner. It just kind of brightens up the room a little bit more. There's also a dumpster out back, because of course there is, and then some sidewalk slabs just leading to all of the other sidewalks so that there's a clear path when people want to walk through to get to the entrance. And then these debug planters from Horse Ranch, and I pulled them out, put them right here in the front, and then I grabbed more of that lavender that I used in the other boxes that I have on either side of this outdoor eating space, and I just kind of rose them up into there. I do end up adjusting them a little bit more later on, but you may or may not see that. I'm not sure if I included it in my recording, and you will have just heard my dishwasher go off. My apologies. So here I am. Yes, I am adjusting these boxes just a little bit more to fit the lavender. And then I wanted to throw in a bunch of shrubs and trees and plants from the surrounding area in San Sequoia to kind of flesh out the rest of the lot. I kind of wanted it to match that other extension of the lot on this median space, so that it looked like it was all one continuous lot and not just a house and then you know, some random shrubs and stuff. I kind of wanted it all to go together. So I repeated a lot of that stuff on this side and then also on the other side. But here you'll see the outdoor garden space that is covered, and I'm using the Island Living glass floor things, and I'm putting them right on that roof piece, I guess, the floor piece, adding some more trim and also some like spandrels and stuff to kind of flesh that out. And here in the kitchen serving area, I have some herbs and some garlic hanging. There's a fan for the wall because I think that makes sense. And all of the pictures of pizza and the other paintings have their black frames on them, which I think is very nice. And you'll see more images of the garden out back in a little bit in the screenshots, because I kind of sort of did that off camera. It was let's see what happens if I do this, and happen to work out. You'll see I have this area here where the bar is set as employees only, as well as the kitchenette and also the serving area right behind the coolers. So that is how I organized my spacing and my like layout for the small business portion of this. But we have a lot more plants going in. Most of the same plants, again, from the surrounding area. I pulled them all out from the debug menu, which is very handy to make sure that your lot matches the rest of the lot when you're building in a world, especially like San Sequoia. We got a lot of landscaping stuff in that pack, and it's pretty much all in debug and live edit, not a lot in the actual build by catalog. So it comes in very handy when you're trying to blend stuff in. And here you'll see a little tiny shot of the fountain, and then bam, it is a full-fledged park. I left a lot of this out because I fiddled with it for so long, and you'll see that it is still a little uneven where the fountain is. For some reason, I could not get it to be perfectly symmetrical and perfectly circular for that fountain to fit, so I do end up fiddling with it some more, but this is the basic idea of what it is. Eventually I do fix it fully. It just took me a really long time. Didn't want to bore you. And here's more planters and also a little bench out here too. Again, just to fill out the lot, make it look like it's all one continuous thing, and I really enjoy that. So I have a smaller planter over here also from the Horse Ranch debug, and then I place the smaller lavenders in here, just 2 of them, and I kind of place them catty corner to each other so they don't look exactly the same from the same exact angle. You'll also see I use the door from Lovestruck to get into the little garden space where the dumpster is. There's some vertical planters, there's some regular planters on the ground that you can't see because they're hidden by this very tall half wall. There's some shrubs on the outside of the wall just to give a little bit more greenery and kind of hide that little space. But I thought it came out so nice. So I really hope you enjoy that little extra thing. Now they can harvest vegetables and prep them for the pizzas, and I think that it just makes a lot of sense to have that on a lot like this. It's very like farm to table, if you know what I mean. Also adding some more street lights that are in debug and live edit, and also some more patio lights just all throughout the park area, and also in the front of the lot, so everything is nice and lit up and everyone can see what they're doing at all times of the day. I really enjoy this park. I think it came out really cute. It's kind of just an extension of the pizza shop. Here's those picnic tables going in, and I also add some citronella candles on top of each table to keep the bugs away, you know, very important. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're going to be jumping into the live mode footage here very shortly, and you'll see here there's customers sitting outside. The sign is set to open, and the daughter is home from school, so she's going to go right upstairs very begrudgingly. She had an attitude while I was filming the live mode footage, so pardon her attitude. But we had lots of customers coming in. Everybody seemed really interested in like hanging out and sitting around, but they didn't always buy the pizza. So sometimes what I had to do was take the pizza and separate it into slices before I put it into the fridges for them to buy, and then they were more willing to buy it when it was just by the slice. You know, which I guess makes perfect sense, but I really wish they would just buy it from the slice but keep the whole pizza box in there. Do you know what I mean? Like just grab a serving instead of buying the whole pizza box. But you know, these things happen. It is The Sims. But you'll see everyone's very much enjoying themselves. They're eating their pizza that they have purchased. I love the little uniform I gave the dad and also the teen daughter. So they have very beautiful little outfits to wear while they're working. And then here's one more little view of the side. and of the park extension. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comment section what you'd like to see next. Let me know what you're looking forward to with this new expansion pack coming out, hinting at fairies and gnomes, potentially some very whimsical things happening in this new expansion pack. I think we are all very excited about it. I don't need to tell you, but I hope that you really enjoyed this, and I hope that you have liked and subscribed so you will not miss any of my future uploads. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.